We just added the coolest thing to the freaking website. Have you ever dreamed of having Apple CarPlay, tire pressure monitoring, front and rear cameras, and an LCD screen as a gauge on your Honda Ruckus? Say you don't even have a Honda Ruckus. You can adapt this thing to a motorcycle or a dirt bike or anything you want. We've been waiting for years for an LCD gauge for these Ruckuses. Out with the freaking Trail Tech Vapor calculator screen, in with the new. Check this out. This is the Chigee AIO-5 Lite. So you've got Apple CarPlay, bam. You've got rear camera, front camera. You got tire pressure monitoring. You can go to your GPS. Music, go to my music. I think every iPhone has YouTube, but you play that and play in your headset or wherever your Bluetooth device is. You can answer your text messages, things like that. Apple CarPlay, just like your car, on your bike. You could change so many things. You got your display, change the background. Look how clear this is. I'll go back here. This is the actual footage. I'll switch to that camera. This is the actual footage of the rear camera. It's 1080p. And I'm using this as a rear view. I don't have rear view mirrors, so I'm using this as my backup rear view mirrors. So when I'm riding, I could see this. How cool is that? It's got blind spot monitoring. So if a car starts approaching, it'll let you know right on the gauge that there's a car coming. It's like, you know, like on your car, your rear view mirrors, they start to blink on modern cars. It has that in it. We installed this unit on this T5K electric Ruckus. There's our tire pressure monitoring. This didn't have a gauge from the get-go, so this thing really rocks. Fits on there perfect. Gives it that really sweet modern look. Very, very easy to install. I'm going to show you how to do it all. Let's get into the meat and the taters. Inside the box of your Chigee AIO-5 Lite, you're going to get all of this, excluding the wireless tire pressure, tire temperature, 2-in-1 sensors. These are just valve caps that screw onto your tire valve stems. It communicates back wirelessly to your gauge, tell you the PSI and the temperature. Really, really neat. Another wireless optional feature, Chigee Remote Control Pro. This is a way for you to not have your hands off the handlebars, and you can just mount this to your left hand control. This is wireless, and you can control things just with the push of a button. Your phone, left, right, select, all that stuff. Again, those two are optional. All this stuff is actually in the box. You've got the unit, of course. You've got some quick select buttons like home, switch key, record, and lock. And then on the bottom here, you'll need a tool, which is supplied, to unscrew this little screw so you can get up underneath this waterproof rubber flap. And underneath there is a spot to put an SD card. You can also plug in a USB-C power supply. So if you wanted to mess with this on like the tabletop or something like that. All the wires are all wired in right out to the back for the camera and the GPS and power. The way to mount it, really, really neat. It's got this fancy little thing that you can swivel around. So there's a lot of different ways to mount this. And then you've got 3 different handlebar sizes to use. You got your zip ties, your quick power clips. Kind of a cool thing they thought of is, here's the front camera. It's kind of nice because they made the front camera with less wire, so you don't have to spool it all up. These are 1080 cameras, really HD cameras. And then you got your rear, it's got a bigger spool. Then you've got your GPS unit. This will pull up your maps, your Google Maps, and your speed limit and all that. And finally, the power wires. Very, very easy to wire this in. All the extra accessories are wireless. One thing that I'm looking forward to big time, they got in their pamphlet, this will be in July of 2024, OBD module. So if you have a fuel injected bike, you'll plug this sucker in and wirelessly again, you'll monitor the wheel speed, engine RPM, coolant temperature, throttle position, and air intake. Isn't that crazy? This thing is next level. For us on a Honda Ruckus, this makes complete sense because the left and right blinkers that you would normally find in a gauge, high and low beam, and fuel supply level is all already external on a Honda Ruckus. So this makes for the perfect gauge for a Honda Ruckus. This Chigee gauge mixed with the T5K fully electric Ruckus. Talk about tech on top of tech on top of tech and freaking sweetness. I'm going to show you how easy this is to install. Really easy. You got positive, negative, and the yellow wire taps into the ignition. That's the only wire you're tapping into. Isn't that freaking crazy with all this tech? The rest of this stuff, like the GPS, the front camera, and the rear camera, all just get plugged in. Simple as that. Let's do it. I'm excited about this one. So here's the actual gauge. You flip it over, you got some carbon fiber. Even the back is awesome on this. So it's mounted with a ball, but the cool thing is it's rubber mounted. So you got the back and the top is actually dampened with rubber bushings. Isn't that cool? This is the mount that's supplied in the kit. You notice it swivels. So there's the part where it mounts to the back of the gauge with the ball. You just have to loosen up those safety torques. Very, very easy. And then this guy mounts to your handlebars. In our situation, it's a little bit different, but I'll show you how this works. So if I tighten this down, there's some teeth. See how it just moves a little bit? If I tighten it all the way down, you're perfect. But there's teeth under there, so it won't just like slide and come loose. You can hear the teeth. There's 3 different sizes handlebar bushings, which is neat. I'm going to do something a little different. Let me show you exactly what I'm going to do because my bars are different. So if you notice, I have clip-on bars. It's not like a handlebar going across it. You can just simply mount this to. That's no problem because I've got something in mind. But in general, you would mount it to your bars there, and then you could swivel this over. So I'm going to modify the freebie mount that came in the kit. It's got a safety Torx. So it's a Torx bit with a hole in the middle. That's included. It's kind of a safety feature. So when you're in a parking lot or something, someone can't unscrew it. Even though I'm modifying this, there's no need. There's a few different options that you can purchase if the one that comes with it doesn't work. I'll put those on the website. Let me show you what I'm going to do with this. So I know I want the gauge to set kind of like that. I thought about putting it way up here, but I think it's going to look better there. And it works out perfectly because remember on the back, that guy kind of like when I loosen it, it mounts to the ball. And then the other end is actually going to go right here, just like that. There's already a hole there from the original triple tree, except for that screw is a lot bigger than, you know, the hole that's supplied in the mount. I'm just making this work. This is not designed for this, but let me show you. So I've got a kind of like a flathead screw, and then I'll make this hole larger, and then it'll recess down just like that. I might have to use a step bit to make it work perfect, but once this mounts just like that, then we've got the ball on the back here. That'll mount just like that, and it'll be perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So that's what I'm going to do. Got her on there, so I bolted the arm to the little ball there, and I drilled out actually the arm, which you're normally not going to have to do this. I'm just taking you on a ride with me. And then we've got the little screw. That'll go down like that, and then it's nice and flush. So let's bolt this sucker up. I'm so excited about this. All right. So this should just simply go right on here. Nice and easy. Put a little Loctite on there, but man, that looks good. Look at that sucker. Fits on there perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. There's a look from behind. You got your little rubber mounted gauge so it doesn't vibrate a lot. You got 4 wires coming out of there. You got your GPS, your front camera, your rear camera, and power. That's it. It powers the whole thing. Then we got our front and rear cameras. The rear has the longer cable and it's labeled on the back Cam B. Front, shorter cable, and it's labeled Cam F. I'm not actually going to use the front camera because this is kind of like a show bike and I don't want the camera to be on there. Plus, I never really ride it in places where I'm going to leave it for security reasons. So we're just going to install the rear camera. Once we're done with that, we'll plug our GPS sensor in. It's easy. It just plugs right in. No wiring or anything like that. Just plugs in like a plug. This is going to control our miles per hour, and it'll pull up our Google Maps, the GPS sensor. Then we've got our power wire, really easy. Positive of the battery, negative of the battery. And then this yellow wire is going to tap into the ignition. So once you turn the key on, the gauge powers up. Once you turn the key off, the gauge turns off. On this bike, there's not a ton of places to put this rear camera. In Colorado, we don't use license plates on scooters. So we've got this license plate frame, which is pretty nifty. It flips out if you want a license plate like that. It's magnetic on the back. Pretty innovative by T5K there. Or you can fold it in. I just want to make sure that if I move it up and down, the camera's not going to hit. So my idea is to put the camera up under like that, I think. Yeah, like that. So it's completely down. And then when I lift it up, I got to make sure it's not going to hit. And it won't. So that's cool. But there is one thing that I'll need to do. So if I'm going to flip it over, then the camera's upside down. See that little arrow? So I already have this thing loose, so I'm just going to spin it like this until the arrow's up on top, and then to right side up. So these just attach the 3M tape. I'm just going to put that on there, clean both sides, and then put it in the spot that I want and tighten this guy down. Perfect. Now I got to do is just tighten this down. The other end of this just needs to go ran up to the front. So I'll do that off cam really nicely. But let me show you what it looks like. Bam. All right, so I've got it ran up to the front. And I'm just going to show you how everything plugs in, not in the wiring area because it gets confusing when there's wires everywhere. So I'm just going to make this really easy. So you've got the yellow camera B, which is the back. Okay, you're going to find camera B here. And there's two little arrows that you can line up when you plug this in. Okay, you plug it in, and then this little guy screws together, so there's no way for it to come disconnected. Next, we've got the front camera. Like I said, I'm not using the front camera, but I want to show you guys what it looks like and stuff. So same thing, camera F, front, camera F, front, two little arrows, line them up. There they go. And just screw those together. So I've got this camera wired in. I'm just going to put this to the side. I'm going to put this to the side. Now all we have left is our GPS plug, which had a little boot that I unplugged here. GPS looks like this. This is all going to get tucked away inside the where your wiring is. So same thing, find your little arrows. That one doesn't have a little screw-in metal threaded area, so just looks like that. And you'll just zip tie this wherever the best place is. Last step is the power wiring harness. It's really easy. There's 3 wires. You got the positive and the negative. Positive goes to the positive of the battery, negative goes to the negative of the battery, and this yellow wire goes to, whenever you turn the ignition on, 12 volts hot. So you have to get a multimeter to figure out what exact wire. This is really the only wire where there's any type of like know-how. It's very easy though. Just find it. When you turn the key on, you need to find a wire that's 12 volts. I'm not going to show you how to wire that up since this is an electric bike, and I'm only going to confuse you. So once that's wired up, you've got your plug, same type of thing. Line the arrows up right there, and then screw the little threaded metal together so it doesn't, little threaded threads, so it doesn't come apart. I'm not using the front camera, but I plugged it in so you guys can see what it's like and how it operates. I'm just going to set it here on the front tire, so give you the visual. I could totally fix this camera anywhere up here, but this is kind of like a show bike, and I just want to leave the front camera off. The rear camera though, that's my review mirror. Fire it up. It takes just a second to fire up. So we got our front camera, check it, sweet. And it is clear, look at this. Big frame of reference there. We can go to our rear camera by pushing, oh, it just connect. So if your phone's connected, it'll do that automatically, which my phone is. To get out of that, you can click exit here. or you can click the home button just like that. So to get back to camera, there's these quick buttons at the top, or you can do it through here. So I'm going to click this button. It's the camera button. There's the front camera, rear camera. Sweet. Huge like fisheye, so you can see everything. And the cool thing is this has blind spot monitoring. So when a car starts coming up, it'll let you know, it'll start warning you when there's a car. I'm using this rear view camera for my mirrors. I don't have any review mirrors, so this will be my review mirrors. How cool is that? And then you can click this button and you'll get the front camera there, rear camera here, and all front. I'll go back home. You can click this pick button up at the top. And then you got your car link. Really, really cool. You can play your music. I think every iPhone has this, but you can play that. We won't play it. Copyright. You can go to your maps. You got your Apple CarPlay on your freaking bike now. That is so cool. Oh, I got a text message. You can get in there and check that out. And then if you click the home button, or you can click this, you can go to meter, and then you got like your gauge. You got your miles per hour. You go to setup, display. I can change the graphics. So look at this. Then I got different graphics back there. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of different things eventually that they'll add. This is a brand new product to the market. I really like that. If you don't like that clicking, turn that all off, or the startup noises, things like that. There's just so many things you can do with this. Again, if you go to setup and we go to features, so we can put our little remote control on that I showed you earlier. We can install that, which I'm going to show you. We can do our valve caps with the PSI and the temperature. We'll install those. This is our headset. If we have a like a Cena, we want to listen to music, so that way it goes to your phone and then to your headset. Cool. It's so packed full of features, and it's LCD on a bike. It's just unbelievable, all of this stuff. And the other thing is, it'll video record once you turn the bike off. So it's like your security. And then you can go back to your files. Check this out. Go to your video. Click the center screen. There's your files. And then you can just choose what video you want to pull up. Isn't that cool? So it's so feature packed. It's security, it's LCD, it's Apple CarPlay, it's tire pressure monitoring. It's it's like a gauge. You really don't even need a main gauge, especially for a Ruckus. Of course, you don't have your blinkers, high and low beam, and some of the vital things, but on a Ruckus, we have all that stuff down here. So not for every bike, but for a Ruckus, this is perfect for a gauge. This isn't part of the basic kit, but you can install the Chigee Remote Control Pro. It's this little device, and it comes with a mount in here. So it'll look something like this when you mount it to your handlebars. And this is wireless. It's got a battery in it. And let me show you actually. So to pair this sucker, really, really easy. All we do, click setup, go to features, click RC for remote control, click pair, click any button on the remote to start pairing. It's paired. Connect. Now we can go home, go to our car link, and check this out. We can go up. See this button goes up. You can see it moving. If I want to select it, you just click the enter button. And it's playing. Play the music, stop the music. Really, really cool. So it's all hands-free. Go to my messages. How cool is that? Back to my GPS, all with this little device. Next, we got the optional Chigee tire pressure monitoring system, 2-in-1, PSI and tire pressure temperature. So this is the valve cap. You just unscrew the valve cap on your tire and install this one. Comes with a little tool, and you could actually, there's a lock nut in here. Let me show you. There's a couple lock nuts, so you could screw on the valve cap, and then on the back side, you can crank down this locking nut so someone can't steal it. Comes with the tool. Let's install those and see how they work. Before we screw the little sensors onto the tire valve stems, we need to set them up. So click settings, features, tire pressure monitoring system, TPMS, click pair. It says prepare 2 external tire pressure sensors. Do not screw the tire sensors into the tire valve stems before pairing. Wait for the tire pressure to display on the flickering front wheel data. So let's do the front wheel. Do that right now. There we go. Screw the other tire pressure sensor on. So let's just unscrew that chromie. Call these chromies when we were a kid. Original valve stem cap. And then we'll install this guy. There they are. Oh boy. That alarm is going off, telling me that I have like no tire pressure. That's crazy. Our tire pressure is so low. Let's go back to our home screen. 21 PSI and 23 PSI. That is freaky. Yeah, they need to be at least 32, 34, and it gives you that alarm. So that is pretty dang cool. These are optional. You can add them, but it's a no-brainer. If you're not from the United States, you can change your miles per hour by going into features, more. You can change it to kilometers per hour or miles per hour. And then if you're not from the United States, you can go to your tire pressure monitoring system, change PSI to bar, and then your Fahrenheit to Celsius. You can choose all of those things. There's all the settings are set up for everybody in the world. One more thing. This sucker comes with 28 gigs of memory, but you might go through that pretty quick. So I'm just going to put extra memory card in there. That doesn't come in the kit, so you'll need to buy that. But they do supply this tool. You'll have to unscrew this little screw here, and that'll open this rubber flap up. Under that rubber flap is a spot for an SD card, and there's a USB-C spot. So say if you wanted to mess with this on a desktop or screw around, just put your AC adapter in there and it'll power it. I got the copper facing down. Just slide that in there, give it a little push till it clicks in. Now we could just close this up, just a little rubber flap, and then screw in your little Torx bit with the supplied tool. Make sure bolts are tight. Sweet. Now we got way more memory. This button can be used for multiple things. Right now it's on Bluetooth, so I can just play music. Or you can go to Android Auto or CarPlay, Apple CarPlay. So it works for both Android and Apple devices. Metering, got a lot of cool things. Got your miles per hour. Your miles per hour will come up right here. Your voltage, 12 volts. Your tire PSI, and then it also has the temperature of the tires. 50 degrees, 48 degrees Fahrenheit. It'll show up when we start riding. Our GPS connects. It'll show the altitude. And you got your trip, the time, engine temp, and throttle. That's more for when the OBD comes out. And then we've got a lot of really cool stuff here. Storage. There's our SD card, and then here's our onboard storage. And here you can select different backgrounds, such as this, that, back. And then you can do your features. You've got your tire pressure monitoring. This is to connect your headset like your Cena. You got your GPS, those your coordinates. This is for your remote control. This guy is for your collision, blind spot monitoring. You need to update the guy. You can update your system here. You know, you got your language, all kinds of languages to choose from. Set your time there, and then you can reset it. There's a ton of stuff on this thing that's super, super cray-cray. I'm going to throw these on the website with all the accessories that you could choose to go with it. I appreciate you guys more than you know. I'll see you in the next video.